Hey, I'm Mr. Carboni. I will be your math teacher this year, and I wanted to give you just a very brief introduction to me and talk a little bit about calculators before we really get into the school year. So let's see what we have here. Hey, here I am when I'm 3 years old. Look at that blonde hair. I used to have hair. Isn't that cute? Let's see. Hey, there's my shadow in case you're worried that I might be a vampire. No clue what I'm doing right here. We'll just skip that picture. And here I am in my normal attire getting ready for the school day. And that's kind of what I'm going to look like when you see me on the first day of school. The main thing I wanted to talk about in this video is the calculator that we're going to be using. Most of you already own a TI-89 or a TI-84, but what we're going to be using this year is actually a slightly different calculator. Not slightly, it's a very different calculator. We're going to be using, for the most part, a calculator called the TI Nspire CAS, this one up here. It's an extremely nice, it's a wonderful color display, it's easy to use, and what I'm going to show you real quick is why it's so much easier to use. We will at some point in your life work on a problem like this. It's called an antiderivative. It's the integral from 5 to 12 of this stuff, dx. Well, if you're using a TI-89, the way you type that in is a little bit cumbersome and very difficult to remember. So let me pop this up on a TI-89. Let's see here. And the way I'm going to punch this in on a TI-89, it's a calculus command, so I'll hit F3. And I know some of you watching this from my pre-calc classes, that's fine. This kind of still applies to you. So this is an antiderivative or an integral, so I'll integrate. And then what I'll do is I'll type in the function x squared minus 3. Then you have to tell it comma x. You have to tell it that x is the variable, comma 5, comma 12. Then you close parentheses. The way you punch it in a TI-89 is nowhere close to the way that you write it on paper. Here's how I write it on paper. Here's how I type it in on the TI-89. Now once I hit enter, I'll get my answer. And the problem people have is they forget that calculator syntax. They forget the code that you have to punch it in. They have to use to punch it in. Let's compare that to the TI Nspire CAS, and I'll show you how much more wonderful this calculator, or wonderfuler, I think is the word, how much wonderfuler this calculator is when you're typing in commands. What you'll do is you'll hit a button and it pulls up all of these templates, and you can move around, but you'll select the template you want to use. And here is my integral template. If you notice, it's just a fill in the blocks template that looks the exact same way as it did when I wrote it down on paper. All I have to do now is fill in those blanks. So I'll type in a 5, I will arrow up to the top box, I'll type in the 12, then I'll arrow over to this box and I'll type in x squared minus 3, and then I will type in the x because it is a dx problem. And notice the way I punch it in the calculator is the exact same way you write it on the paper. Yep. And then you hit enter and you get your answer. The TI Nspires are so much easier to use. I really think it's going to be worth it to jump to this format because it really helps you if you take the AP exam or if you take calculus in college or something like that. It's really going to come in handy. Now, a lot of you are going to be upset because you just bought a TI-89 and you really don't want to have to buy a new calculator. So what I'm going to do is talk to you about these calculators and what the differences are. And you actually have a lot of options between among the TI Nspire family. The two newest models are these two that are on the top corners, right here and right here. If you notice this one over here, it's called a CAS. That stands for Computer Algebra System. And what that means is it has a lot more capabilities and can do a lot more mathy things that will come in handy in class and on the AP exam. The CAS is about $15 more than the non-CAS. I think it's worth those extra $15. This one over here, if you notice, the two don't look very different. They function the same way. The commands are all the same. The only difference is the CAS has a few more than the non-CAS. If you dip down and look over here, you have the older technology. These are called the Touchpad versions. TI Nspire with Touchpad, and this is another Touchpad, TP, toilet paper. So these are the Touchpad versions. These are a lot older. I don't think these are being made anymore, but you can still buy them on Amazon, and they're much cheaper. These two calculators function the exact same way as the CX versions. The difference is that the touchpads obviously don't have the color display, and they're a little bit bulkier. You might could tell in these pictures that the touchpad is bigger The CX version has a rechargeable battery that you have to you plug into either your computer or the wall to charge it. The Touchpad version uses AAA batteries. Quick synopsis of the differences. The CAS has more capabilities. It is not allowed on the ACT. So if you think, or if you're going to be taking the ACT and you need a calculator for that, then you might want to steer clear of the CAS. The non-CAS has fewer capabilities, but it is allowed on the ACT. Now, they're all allowed on the AP exam. So those of you who are taking my AP Calculus class, you don't have to worry about this calculator not being allowed on the AP exam. I'm certainly not going to ask you to get a calculator that you can't use on the AP exam. So you have the CAS and the non-CAS, and then you have the CX, which has the color display and the rechargeable battery, versus the Touchpad, or the non-CX, which is a black and white display, and it uses AAA batteries, and it's a little bit bulkier. The rechargeable battery, that almost seems like a negative, but the rechargeable battery lasts a long time. It's a pretty stout rechargeable battery. And so those are your options for the Nspire calculators. As far as the prices, if you choose to go buy a new calculator, these are what the prices are as of August 5th, 2013. The Nspire CAS CX, which is what I'll be using mostly, is $145. The Nspire CX, $128.35. The Touchpad versions, CS is $56.50. Huge price drop. The Touchpad versions do function the same way as the CX. You just don't get the color display or the rechargeable batteries. And then the regular Nspire with the Touchpad is $57.04. So you see a big price drop there. You could also look in the used market. I don't know what the prices are on the used market, but you could save money there as well. And two other options for you. I will buy a classroom set of these. I will have 30 of them. Now my largest class has 30 students, so that means I will have enough for every person in the class. The problem is you won't be able to take my calculators home. If you want something you can get familiar with, or something you can use on the ACT or the AP exam or something like that, you will need your own calculator, because I cannot promise I will have enough calculators for you come the AP exam. You could also, if you want to, just stick with using a TI-84 or a TI-89, but you are on your own as far as learning how to use it. I'll help you outside of class. If you want to come during AO or something like that, I can help you. But I'm not going to spend time in class going over how to use 2 or 3 different types of calculators. I'm going to stick with the Nspire versions in class. So there's my my little synopsis on the calculators. If you have questions, you can shoot me an email. It's pcarboni@hoover.k12.al.us, all that good stuff. And then a few other things that make me happy to close out this video. Kleenex makes me happy. If y'all want to bring any of this stuff to me on the first day of school, I will look upon you with great favor, and I will smile and shake your hand and be happy. But it won't give you extra points or anything like that, so don't ask. I also like hand sanitizer. I like Gnomes. Of course, that goes without saying. Everybody likes Gnomes. Paper towels are good if you want to bring some paper towels. I love it when I push the elevator button and I don't have to wait. That's such a rewarding experience. And then lastly, I like problem-free encounters with my mother-in-law. So if y'all can help with any of those 6 things, I would really appreciate it. Looking forward to see you on the first day of school.